to us right now. And usually you can, the deep ropes and
well, welcome. We're in our bonus part of our DVD, and I'm going to introduce you to 3 new patterns. The first pattern that we're going to tie is a Beadhead Emerger, or a blue-wing olive. The blue-wing olive mayfly is one of our most popular insects to imitate because it comes out, let's try that all over again. Let's just take 2. 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome. We're going to do our bonus section of our DVD, and I'm going to introduce you to 3 new patterns. The first patterns will be a Beadhead Emerger, or a blue-wing olive. It is a pattern that I have modified from the Smurf Emerger, which was in my Volume 2 of Jack Dennis and Friends Fly Tying DVD. And Beadhead or blue-wing olives are one of our most essential insects to imitate because it comes out both in the spring and in the fall. Now, to start out, I'm going to be using a standard hook. This is the 9300 Tiemco. I'm a big fan of this hook. I was involved in developing it. It has a 1X heavy. It's a wide gape, and it's perfect for the type of fly we're going to tie right now. Now, you've noticed that I have a very small bead on the hook, and these are beads that I have purchased from a bead store. They're reflective. If you search out the bead stores, you're going to be able to find them. This is a size, believe it or not, 18. They kind of correspond to the hook. The hook I have here is an 18. You're going to tie this fly from 16 all the way down to 26, and believe it or not, you're going to be able to find beads that will correspond to that size of hook and be small enough. Notice it's the olive color. Now, what I'm going to do to get started is I'm going to wrap some thread around the front part and build up the eye. Now, there's a reason for this. There's a twofold reason. First of all, I don't want it to jump around as I'm tying the fly, but I also don't want it to go over the eye of the fly. Now, all I'm going to do is wrap some thread, and then I'm going to do a half hitch. You can do it whip finish if you'd like to, but what's going to happen is I'm going to push this bead so it seats right there. I think one of the important things about adding this bead is to give it a little bit of weight. Now, the first Smurf Emerger that I tied did not have any weight, and this will help it sink just slightly under the surface up to about 8 inches. Make sure you don't have a very long drop on your emergers. Now, as you can see, I've laid out some 8/0 thread, and one of the keys to the emerger that my friend John Spiralio from Deschutes River Outfitters told me that he felt that most of the tiers tie the Beadhead way too thick in the body. One of the things that we found over the years that the Beadhead are very reflective, and we're going to accomplish getting both reflective material and very thin material to give you a superb Beadhead Emerger. Now, notice I'm putting on some shucking material. This happens to be Zelon, and I'm going to trim it so it's just about the length of the body. And I may even trim that down, and you can rough that up when you're done. But you can see we've got a nice shuck. This orange, burnt orange color is kind of the choice of a lot of people. It doesn't really exactly match the color of the shuck, but it seems to attract fish, and you know, that's all we really want. Now, to get the abdomen, we're going to use a flashabou material. This is a holographic flashabou. You can see the name of it right here. You want to use the genuine stuff. Here's actually the color, 6969, but it's an olive, and we're going to use one strand of this flash shabu. We're going to cut it, and here it is. And then we're going to go get a black one. Now, this probably is going to seem a little strange that we'll be using something like this. Now, one of the keys to this is being able to put it on a certain way to add to its durability. Again, we're going to keep it thin. We're adding both a black and the olive to right up on top of the abdomen. Now, we kind of want to measure this about 2/3 right here, and we're gonna be putting our thorax on right here, and that bead's going to become a part of that thorax. And now the first thing we're going to do is add a little twist to this. We're going to take both fibers. We're going to use our rotary hackle pliers, which we'll be using for all three flies. This happens to be a griffin, as you can see. Very handy tool to have, as you found out from this DVD. Now I'm going to give it a little twist here. I'm going to take it, and you can start to see the material twist as I pull on it. And we get kind of a nice little color. Notice that how it's sparkling already. And I'm just wrapping it over my thread. Notice how thin it is. And at this point, we're going to tie it off. Maybe wrap one more. I like the looks of that. And that twist not only gives it a great dark olive color, but it also adds durability to it by giving it the twist. If you didn't do that, it would probably come apart after a few fish. And believe me, this fly is going to be very effective for you. Now, there's a lot of materials that you can use for dubbing. On these smaller flies, especially when you start tying this down to 24s, you're going to want superfine. Superfine is distributed by Wapsi. You can get it in most any fly shop in America. And we're going to get the blue wing olive color that they make, which has a little bit of brown, a little bit of gray. It's just a superb color. They do a wonderful job of mixing it. Now, one of the things to remember about dealing with the superfine material, that it is a continuous fiber. I've talked about this in this DVD. And you want to pull it along the thread. I moisten my fingers, and I can get a really nice thin dubbing there. And I'm going to go right up against the bead and work away until we get it built up. We want to make sure that it's just about the same diameter. I'm going to actually add just a hair more. Again, notice how I'm pulling it. A little bit more dubbing, so it's just about the same diameter all the way through as the bead, and that's our thorax. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to add some legs. We use it on a lot of different flies. It's one of the most universal materials when dealing with caddis, but it makes for a beautiful leg on a blue wing olive. Now, what we're going to do is a little technique that Brandon Powers showed us in, again, that volume 2, about putting on partridge legs. And notice what I've done is I've taken out the front part of the partridge hackle, and I'm just leaving just a little bit. Now notice the point is right there of what's left, and I'm going to match that up, make a little loop, and go right behind the bead, and we're going to end up with some legs. Now let me just do that again so you can see what I'm doing. One more time. I'm going to lay that right on, so it's right on the bead. put my fingers around it, and then tie it down. And as you can see, it spreads the legs out, just like that. And then we can trim this off. And you can see the little stubs are right there, and we'll grab those. And now we have legs on the emergers. They're coming right off the side. That's really terrific. Now, what we can do is go back and just get a tiny, tiny bit of dubbing. We don't need very much to go over that. As you can see, I'm just adding it right here. Just a little bit. Now, I'm going to actually leave that dubbing right on the hook, and I'm going to take my whip finish, and I'm going to use, at this point, I'm going to use the old Mattarelli whip finish. Now, this Mattarelli whip finish will be able to give it right around the bead. Okay, we're going to now use the Mattarelli whip finish. Reach up, grab it, form our triangle. Right here, form our triangle, and then feed a little material. We'll wrap right into the dubbing. Voila! Out comes the thread. You tie it off, and there is your little emerger. And I'll tell you, this is a simple little fly that will really work for you. I can tell you right now, all you have to do is just drift this just below the surface. Use a dry fly as an indicator, 4 to 6 inches of leader, and hold on. During a beta's hatch, when they're taking emergers, this will do the trick for you.